Ladies, gentlemen, and all of the variants thereof, welcome. This is the Becky Lynch Show, my usual Monday Night Raw preview show happening on YouTube and on Twitch right now. Welcome and thank you to everyone joining me so far. There's a few things I want to be talking about pretty much from the off. A lot of details about changes and things that I want to highlight from my career before then going into the Raw preview. Naturally, we'll also be answering your questions and anything you have to say additionally. I do realize now that I haven't jumped over to a bit of admin for the announcement. It probably still says the notification, I should say, probably still says that this is a watch along. It's not a watch along. I need to get better at sorting that out. Matt Hendricks is here, so they actually joined at the start for once. Well, yeah, 6 o'clock, same as every single week that we've been doing this. So I'm glad you've been able to make it from the off. By all means, jump in with any questions that you've got while I do a little bit of unfortunate typing. But yeah, like I say, there is quite a bit that I do want to be covering. Edit stream info. Some of that is involving Twitch and the plans going forward. Some of it is involving this here, new office space, which I will get to in just a moment. Riff Thing says hi. Welcome, Riff. Glad to see you here as well. Becky Lynch Show. Join the party to talk this week's Monday Night Raw. And your questions. Easy. So that notification will go out to everyone so they know what to expect. I do have to get better at that. I do have to get better. Michael Latina says hi, Tom. Hi, Michael. Glad to see you jump in as well. And of course, as is normal for me, I'm going to pop over to Twitter, let people know I'm here before we get started all that much. Just going to send them to the Twitch. Join me now. Twitch. This week's WWE Raw. Ask your questions and have the show previewed. One follow away from 50. See you there. Because I am, in fact, one follow away. And I do apologize for having to do all this admin beforehand. This is not something I like doing. I feel it takes away from the opening of the show. It usually takes people a couple of minutes to come in, but I don't want to be doing admin before that. Anan says, hi, Tom. Good to see you. I will get to you, Matt, what you've said there. And Ed's here as well, says, yay, admin. Yeah, unfortunately, I do a lot of admin. It's a problem. It's a problem. But to start with, I have a little scripting bit here. Welcome to my new office space. Now, I know it looks very, very similar. The only real difference is that I have a window out to the outside world right there now. But I've essentially ripped apart my spare room to make myself a workspace. It's a little bland right now, as you can see, but I have two walls behind me that I can do things with. I've had some ideas, but I also want to hear from you as to what I should do. Should I put up a green screen right behind me, just a big screen, and call it done? Should I get a green screen that I can attach to the back of my chair? Let me know on that. My other ideas vary. Let's see. Now, firstly, there is some ridiculousness coming your way. Many years ago for Christmas, I was given this here gift to hang my keys on. So I could put that behind us and just literally stick it right there behind my head or in the background where it's a bit more visible. In addition to that, I have quite a few different options. I have a very large 500 piece The Rock jigsaw. Bit of glue, bit of blue tack, job done. I also have poster options. You guys can really help with this. So let's see what I've got. I have a photo mosaic of Darth Vader. Good. This will be a favorite. The person missing from this is Billy Gunn. Just a whole lot of people. All the top guys. That is old school wrestling, Attitude Era, that I probably got when I was about 10. Could put that up. Nice classic. Undertaker. Hello, Manny. Glad to see you drop in. Oh, I missed you. Manny, glad to see you drop in. Ellie says, hi, Tom. I really look forward to these live streams. Thanks for doing them. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Glad you're here. Ed is suggesting an art design stream coming Wednesday. You want me on every day, don't you? You want me on every single day. Wednesdays I go see my mother. You control yourself. And Northern Bear is here as well saying, hey, I had that poster as a kid. There's a couple more that I'm going to show you. Let me know if you had this one as a kid. It's nerdy. It's not wrestling. It is all 150 original Pokemon. Every single one. I could put that on the wall behind me. You did have that as a kid. Wow. Going to briefly drop there. Matt says, does that Undertaker poster come with guns and knives? Unfortunately not, so it's not really true to life, is it? Northern Bear says, yes, he does indeed have that. Monica Carvalho says, I'm the 50th follow. Thank you, Manny. Really do appreciate that. The 50 follows is a huge milestone, and I really am grateful for you following, and everyone else as well. Yeah, I do want to point this out. Ed says, had a couple of the posters, enjoyed speaking to Northern Bear, your Final Fantasy stream yesterday. That, my good friends here, is something I do want to point out. I don't have anything set up for shout outs yet, but once I do, Northern Bear, you are definitely getting one. You've been very good to me. I have had many follows as a result of raids from you. Thank you very much from that. And anyone who does enjoy Final Fantasy stuff or Doom or Abe's Odyssey, Northern Bear's your guy. I have 2 posters left. Now, we've seen the Undertaker one. And I was thinking we could do the Undertaker. Throw it out. Anan says, you brought my childhood nostalgia. Yep. This one was one of my favorites growing up. If we had the Undertaker there, who do you think is going to be here? The Big Red Machine himself. We could do Kane. I spent money on that. I was 10 years old and I spent my own money. That's how much I loved Kane. And finally, again, not wrestling related. Magus here says, Beyond Venue. Welcome, Magus. Glad to see you. Happy birthday, sir. I was scripting out a tweet saying happy birthday earlier, and then I realized, no, I need to get into a stream right now. So it was coming right afterwards, but happy birthday to you, sir. Also, Conrad's here, says, hey, Tom, welcome, Conrad. A very good producer of YouTube content. I've been on his show before. It says, welcome, everyone. Final poster I could put up, again, nerdy. I had the Darth Vader. We could also do a photo mosaic of Yoda. That is, I think, 7 posters. Anyone who's missed any of them, let me know. And we will get back to it. Trust me when I say I will make sure to get everyone's comments as regards Raw tonight. I'm just doing a bit of an extended opening, as I'm sure you can tell, but that will definitely happen. I will catch everyone. But just to go through what I wanted to say. Got it. This move to the new office space also supports my intentions to have more gaming content. My TV is right here now, which means I can put my PS4 right here, stick the capture card in between. And that means I can have my face on screen when I'm playing Bloodborne, when I'm playing Final Fantasy VII Remake, when I'm playing pretty much anything. I've really enjoyed some of the streams I've been jumping in for gaming stuff, and the banter that you get there, as some of you will undoubtedly know if you've been popping into those streams. So I've really enjoyed that. We will see more of that, but we also may be seeing more watch-alongs and watch parties, more on that a bit later. I do just have one thing I want to touch on, which may not be of interest to all of you, but I'll get through it in about a minute. I am an author, for anyone who doesn't know. I have 3 novels currently available on the Amazon bookstore. It is self-published, it is Kindle-based. Yes, I have struggled to find a publisher. I will keep trying and eventually hopefully get it through. But for anyone who hasn't read my work, my first novel, because I'm writing the 4th one, is currently free on Amazon in the build-up to book 4. You can find out what all the fuss is about, and I will just post the link right here. Hopefully this works. That has worked perfectly. In case you are interested. Now, my last bit before getting to the preview, I want to send a thank you out to everyone who watched the SmackDown watch party, even if you just watched for a couple of minutes. I had a great time, and I hope everyone else did too. There'll definitely be more in future. Now, at this point in my notes, I've put, if we manage to get 3 more follows before Raw begins tonight, there'll be another one. Thank you to everyone who has followed in the intervening time, because I already have those 3 follows now. I'm all set in that regard. So there will be a Raw watch party tonight for anyone interested in watching that. Now, if you have followed, make sure to turn your notifications on so you know when I come online. You'll get a notification saying exactly what I'm doing. I'm a lot more careful usually. I got distracted by a stream beforehand. That's entirely on me. Yes, the watch parties are solely on Twitch. So if your notifications are on, you'll get a little message saying that I'll be on Twitch with a watch party about 10 minutes before. The reason they're on Twitch is because I can make it a bit more high quality, just a bit more high quality. Whereas if I'm multi-streaming, that's something that we need to look into. In addition to that, I've now reached 50 followers. If you don't follow on Twitch, you're going to have to if you want to keep watching these, because they are going to come off YouTube once I become an affiliate, because you cannot multi-stream as an affiliate. It's not an option. So I want to say a big thank you to, I want to make sure I get this right, Cat Loyacano, Artie Darwin, and Rob H0503, who followed me since I last streamed on Friday before this stream while I was offline. Huge thank you to them. Also, of course, Manny Carvalho, who was just followed, and anyone else who's followed in that time. I was going to say this has brought me 98% of the way to monetization, and I owe you all. However, thank you, Manny, 100%. We will see how that goes. There are still a couple more targets, but to do what I've done in a very short period of time, I'm really very happy. A big thank you also to all of the people who followed over on Twitch in the last month. I only launched there a month ago, and we've leapt up at an incredible pace. We're not done yet. This really is only the beginning. If you haven't gone over yet, please remember to make sure you go over to twitch.tv/Tom Colohue. I'm always here to put you over. We are about to start the Monday Night Raw preview. I'm going to go through the comments that we've got to make sure I didn't miss any, just about everything that people have been asking about the show tonight, and then I'll get to anything I haven't got using the preview system. Matt J. Hendricks says, are you guys ready for the first time ever match tonight? Never before seen Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre. How many hundreds of times have we seen this? It feels like. Since SummerSlam, when they had their first actual match, these two have been going at it non-stop. It feels strange that more than a week goes by that we don't have this match, and it doesn't seem like a week has gone by that we haven't had this match. This definitely serves a different purpose. This match has nothing to do with Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre as a feud. This is something they do quite a lot, where you are supposed to have low expectations going in, and then they break you off in different directions. Hopefully, that's what will happen, but it looks like it's going to continue the Sheamus feud and the Alexa Bliss, Randy Orton, and the Fiend feud. But once again, I don't think we are going to see the Fiend this week. Could happen. I don't personally see it happening. Just as I scroll down to the next few comments that I didn't get to straight off, if you are watching on YouTube, please do remember to click like. That is a huge benefit to me, helps me grow there. I will still be posting videos on YouTube, even after Twitch becomes a full-time, but it's always beneficial to click like on it. Manny says, hopefully tonight we get Build to Chamber. That's 12 days away. 12 days. Yeah, you're right. That is not long at all. Not long at all. And we haven't really had much build. They need to announce who's going to be in the chambers and what the chambers are going to be for. They've only got 2 Raws to hype the Raw Elimination Chamber matches. So hopefully they do something with it. For the... it's difficult because they want to keep having Edge and Bianca Belair making you ask questions. But the Elimination Chamber matches need to be making decisions for who they're not going to face. They need to hurry up with it. Let's see what else we got. Matt says, I hope there is no interference because I don't want Orton versus Drew again next due to interference. I'm confident, I'm absolutely certain there will be interference. but I'm also absolutely certain it's not a feud going forwards. So it is likely to be just this one match. Sheamus, I think, will be the one who interferes, draws McIntyre away, and then Alexa Bliss makes her appearance. She may get another RKO. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Manny Santos says, looks like we are getting Woods versus Reckoning tonight. After a fashion. If you get what I'm saying, after a fashion. I don't think we're going to see an actual Woods versus Reckoning match, in much the same way we didn't really see a Sasha Banks versus Reginald match. We just kind of saw it. And I think that's basically what's going to happen here. I think they would tease a match between the two, and then just as they're about to come to blows, Reckoning and Retribution will all come together and beat the hell out of Xavier Woods. Would be a shame, but it would be what it would be. Matt Hendricks says, good, I'll join yours because I'm not doing one again. I'm sorry to hear that you're not doing a watch party. It's one of those wonderful things where there is so much room for so many different people and so many different watch parties. I will be having mine. You are, of course, welcome to join it. And anyone who doesn't join it, you will still have the exact same content here. That's the beauty of Twitch. If one show isn't for you, for example, the Football Manager streams on Tuesday, if that's not for you, there will be plenty of variety of content for people who do. Matt also says, even Drew McIntyre seems tired of it. He's been a very blunt speaker since becoming champion. I'm a big fan of that. Big fan of that. Manny says, well, only here it's a week from Sunday, but no build. I'd imagine this is regards to the Elimination Chamber, and I do agree it's far too sharp. I'm talking very quickly. I'm going to slow down a little bit. Ed says, could the Chambers just be for the women's tag titles and then the IC title? They could. That is certainly a possibility. It could be that the reason they've introduced the Fastlane pay-per-view so close to WrestleMania when they didn't really need to was that will be the show where people make their decisions. And those will be where we have the matches that decide who goes to WrestleMania other than the actual anointed winners of the Royal Rumble. So, number of possibilities. I have mentioned before on these shows that I would like to see the IC title in Elimination Chamber. I just think that sounds like a lot of fun and something really worth the doing, as well as the fact that there is a very strong division for it. If, for example, you take Cesaro, Nakamura, maybe Daniel Bryan and put them in there as well, in addition to Big E, Apollo Crews, Sami Zayn, that would be an incredible match. I'm getting myself excited. Matt says, to me, the Bliss thing last week ruined what was a good match with Edge and Orton on Raw. The WWE have a bit of an issue when it comes to main events in that they do not give them anywhere close to enough time. They basically just, okay, we've got 5, maybe 10 minutes left. We've got to hit these storyline points. Those need at least 5 minutes, and we've got to get a commercial break in there as well. You get about 3 minutes of wrestling. The whole point of Edge versus Orton last week was to sweep it under the carpet and say, this is over now. I suspect that's the point of the match tonight as well, to basically just say, it's over. But to be fair, you may say it ruined what was a good match, but it was maybe the last 30 seconds. The match was basically over anyway. Noob & Co is here. Welcome, Noob. Happy to see you joining us today. And Matt says, good to see WWE is considering cutout fans for WrestleMania after it looked great for the Super Bowl. It did look very good. I genuinely thought there were a ton of people there. I was annoyed. I briefly had a moment like, oh, why are they doing that? They shouldn't be doing that. But that is not what happened. They literally had cardboard cutouts, which is a good way of doing things. I think that's been really clever. I was tricked very successfully. Well done, Super Bowl. I didn't personally watch the Super Bowl. American football isn't something I'm really familiar with, although I do have friends who are into that. So it's one of those things that it definitely should be considered. And also, to be completely honest, it's a good way of separating people. So you could have a cutout in a chair, but you could make it bigger so that it also acts as a shield between people. And then you could fit more fans in because they've all got shield. Manny says, Nick Khan mentioned in an interview that Bad Bunny is going to be around for a while. Yep, definitely. I did say last week my expectation is that we're going to see a tag team match, Damian Priest and Bad Bunny against Miz and Morrison in the build-up to, or actually at WrestleMania. That's something I could definitely see happening. It's WrestleMania. They want celebrities. I believe that was confirmed by Dave Meltzer. So it's something I expect as well. Manny says, also when you said my went off, she said 5 or 10 minutes. Alexa, what sound does a penguin make? You can thank me later. Ellaline, welcome to Twitch. Thank you for jumping over. It says, are you looking forward to Seth Rollins' return? I am. I actually am. And I know he's not necessarily the most popular person, but Seth Rollins has always been a real favorite of mine personally. I really like his style. I really like the way he goes about things in the ring. And I really think he can deliver a lot. Now, it really depends who his opponents are. Who's he going to line up against? Daniel Bryan seems like he's going towards heel. So maybe Seth Rollins will work with Shinsuke Nakamura. Maybe he'll work with Cesaro. There are so many possibilities. And I think that is exciting to me. I really want to see that happen. Also, it raises another question as regards Becky Lynch, which I'll be asking after the preview. Noob says, do you think Alexa Bliss will interrupt the match between Drew and Randy Orton? Well, I did mention this earlier, so I'll just quickly run through it. My opinion is we're going to see a lot of interference in the match. I think Sheamus will get involved, drawing Drew McIntyre away. And then once Randy Orton is isolated, then we will see Alexa Bliss return. But I think she's getting an RKO this week. Matt says, which is what I believe is what Raymond James Stadium is allowing as regards the fans. It says cutouts outnumbered real fans, 30K to 22.5 to 25K. That makes sense. I think that's the way to do it. There is definitely limits of how many fans you can have in, and there are limits as to how much. If it is a limit as to what Raymond James Stadium is allowing, then that is what the WWE should do. If they can do exactly what happened previously, sorted. They've just got to be careful panning to the crowd, or own it. Own the fact that it's happening and pan the crowd and be like, hi, this person's hyped. This person's hyped. Poke fun at yourself. This person's hyped because we painted a smile on his face. Do random stuff like that. Just do that. I'd love it if they pan to the crowd and there's Jason Jordan. Here's an excitable young fan. Just really take the piss out of yourself. That's how I would do it anyway. Got that. That was what you said a bit ago. Eleanor says, when do you think The Miz will cash in since he only has it until May? I don't know why they gave it back, to be honest. I really don't. For me, you're right. He has it until May. There must be some plan for it, but they gave it back before they had the final plan for WrestleMania, so it's confusing. Whatever it is, I really don't think he's going to cash in successfully. I'll have to wait and see who the opponent chosen is for WrestleMania and then make a decision, but for me, I don't really care when he cashes in because I just don't think he's going to be successful. Hey, Manny. What did you get? What did they say? What did they say? Matt says, I wonder if Bliss will be on Raw or take the night off due to harassment she's getting from an idiot on Twitter. I'm confident she'll be on Raw. This harasser has come to light recently. A lot of people have recognized that the harasser is there because she's been drawing attention to the fact that there is a harasser there. However, that harasser has been there for quite a long time. It's not new. She's been dealing with it for a very long time, which is horrible and a real shame, but that is the situation. That's what happened. She's been dealing with this the whole time on her own, and she's still been turning up to Raw every week. So my expectation is that's exactly what's going to happen. We are not going to see any change there, I don't think. Manny says, I think Bad Bunny won't be there tonight, but very excited as a Latino male they're being represented. That is probably one of the reasons he's there, to be completely honest. It's really important, in my eyes and in the eyes of many, many fans, to have representation, to have someone that they can see themselves in. And when your entire roster, for example, it's not the case, but let's just say like back in the Attitude Era, the entire roster of people at the top were basically just white men, American white men. That's a problem. The WWE is a lot more diverse now than it has been. You have people from all walks of life, and when it comes to celebrities, you might as well be the same. You might as well have that variation. You might as well celebrate the differences. That's the way it should be done. Celebrate the fact that you have different people who all want different things. Bad Bunny is connecting to an audience, and that is vital. Matt says, I don't think Miz is ever cashing in. I don't think they would have given it back to him if not for the idea that he would eventually cash in, but we'll have to wait and see. Plans change all the time. Michael Latina says, one thing I want to see when Becky comes back is a feud with Bayley. They never feuded. I know, that's true. To my knowledge, the only real connecting that they've done is just after Bayley had her match with Ronda Rousey, when Becky Lynch came down and basically said, you did a great job. I'll take it from here. That's the way to do it. Matt Hendricks says, I mean, they put it on Otis without an actual plan. I'm confident there was a plan for Otis. Just somewhere along the way, they lost confidence. They just completely lost confidence. And as regards the harassment that Alexa Bliss is receiving, Matt says he hopes we don't get another Sonya Deville situation here. I hope we never again get another person who is breaking into someone's home who they don't know and basically following them around, messaging them all the time. It's a huge problem in wrestling, and I do not want to see it. It is disgusting. I never want to see it again. Never. And anytime it does happen, don't you worry. I will not be quiet about it. This comes back to, obviously, what's happening, yes, with Alexa Bliss with Sonya Deville. Also, people at airports with Sasha Banks going on Twitter and saying she's a horrible person. She didn't stop to sign an autograph at 2 a.m. People, I'm not speaking to anyone in this here chat, just to be clear, but as a general thing to people who may or may not think this, wrestlers owe you nothing. Wrestlers choose to put their bodies on the line day in, day out, not right now, obviously, but day in, day out, by and large, put their bodies on the line to entertain you. They're already giving you so much of themselves. And they get crap on social media. They get people breaking into their homes. This drew Daniel Bryan and Nikki Bella as well. They had their home broken into. Just stop. I don't understand the mindset. Slightly more positive. Noob says, I'm excited for Damian Priest on Raw, but where will Rhea Ripley be on the main roster? You've got me. My expectation is still Raw, but I expected her last week. I don't think it will be too long, especially if we're going to have a women's elimination chamber match. If we're going to have a women's elimination chamber match, get me Rhea Ripley in there. Get me Rhea Ripley, Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair, Lacey Evans. There's a chamber. Ooh, that would be a hell of a match. Elimination Chamber has so many exciting possibilities. Don't screw it up. You hear me, WWE? Just don't screw it up. Sometimes it's like, get out your own way. As regards Bad Bunny, Manny Santos says his merch sold out on the WWE shop. That's very impressive. A very impressive start. He is a big star. I was not aware of who he was. I live in the UK. We don't get his music over here. But I didn't hate what I heard. I'm not a big rap fan, but I didn't hate it. I thought it was okay. Booker T wouldn't be my first choice of someone to rap about, but hey, whatever works. Matt says if they tried it, this is regard to stalking and harassing. If they tried it with Shayna Baszler, I guarantee you they'd regret it because Shayna is a professional MMA fighter. So Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville has a lot of MMA experience, but she was still shaken up by the whole thing. If someone breaks into your home, it doesn't matter how tough you are, it's going to really be hard to feel safe again. That's the problem. Just feeling safe again. I'm all out of comments right now, so I'm going to go back to what I've got for the WWE Raw preview. I still have quite a lot of points to make, and then I'll get back to comments after that. Thank you, everyone who's joined so far. Anyone watching on YouTube, please do remember to click like. And if you haven't yet, please pop over to twitch.tv/Tom Colohue. The link is in the description of the YouTube video to click follow there as well. We will be doing a Raw watch party live tonight. It will start 10 minutes before the show. You will get a notification if you have followed on Twitch, but if not, keep an eye on my Twitter and it will pop up there as well. Let's see what I've got to talk about. So we've talked about Orton versus McIntyre at length. What we haven't talked about yet is Charlotte Flair versus Lacey Evans. That's the other match that has been announced so far by the WWE. If any more matches have been announced since scripting, please do let me know and I will comment on them then. I can't see this match finishing conclusively. From what I can tell, it's just going to be another moment where Ric Flair gets a chance to pull the wool out from under their eyes and screw over his daughter, which is not a phrase I like saying very much. So Ric Flair had the chance to screw over, just keep saying over, screw over his daughter, and I think he's going to take it. He also mainly is doing this because it gives him a chance to screw Lacey Evans. I didn't say over there. There's a reason for that. Ric Flair's a hound dog. When I get to be that age, I'll kind of respect it. Yeah, kind of respect it. There's also a possibility that the plan is to get Evans out of the picture and thus Charlotte can get a clean win here. But that would be a situation whereby they need Charlotte to start feuding with Asuka. There are a lot of changes made last minute, particularly lately. And when it comes to WrestleMania, they are looking for the biggest marquee match they can get. If they have a chance to do that, where it would be Charlotte Flair versus Asuka, and that's what they want, they need Lacey Evans out of the way. So if there is a clean finish, that is what I expect that clean finish to be leading to. Do we think Edge will be back on Raw tonight? Personally, I do. I think he will be back, which makes a very interesting dynamic for Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre tonight has to deal with Randy Orton. He has to deal with Edge, and he has to deal with Sheamus. And Edge being there could really muddy that water. What else could they do with Edge? Edge could simply be watching, waiting to see that fighting spirit that he wants from Drew McIntyre, and that could get into McIntyre's head and get him chasing after Sheamus. But at the same time, Edge could, of course, do more with Randy Orton, though I do feel that is over. What happens next could be an interesting counterpoint when you add in Christian. That could be an interesting point. I'm going to go to the comments because I've just seen one from Ed. It says, do you think Miz can cash in to insert himself into the next Money in the Bank? I don't believe so, but it depends. CM Punk, for example, did back-to-back. It would be an option, but I think really he would be able to earn the right to get in anyway. Matt says, I think the Lacey Charlotte thing is a segment. Well, I believe it was announced as a match. Let me confirm. I don't want to be steering you guys wrong here, but obviously things do change as time goes on, and I write quite a bit in the build-up. So I'm going to Twitter, going to WWE's Twitter. That's Roman Reigns. What? Where's WWE in my list? I've typed in WWE, and for some reason WWE aren't in my list. That should not be a thing that happened. There it is. I'm going in via a Triple H tweet. So let's see. A podcast, Sheamus, Vengeance. There it is. Right, so they're not clear. 2 hours ago, I do follow WWE, but a lot of other things pop up. Ed, you are throwing shade, sir. WWE have tweeted 2 hours ago, what fireworks are set to explode when Charlotte and Lacey Evans meet face-to-face tonight on Raw? That's not clear. That could be a match. That could be a segment. It's a fair thing to point out. Manny says Charlotte will win, I think, this time. Could well do, but I think when it comes to Charlotte, everyone thinks that. Now, the thing that drew me back is Ed saying no Edge tonight. I think he'll be on SmackDown only until after EC. If that's the case, then there really isn't a question anymore. They are trying to hype up the idea that Edge hasn't made his decision. If he's just on SmackDown, he's clearly made his decision. I'm not sure we'll see him on NXT, but I think we'll probably see him on Raw. Have they announced that he won't be there? Matt says in sort of disagreement to that. Edge told CBS Sports he's doing the full-time gig and said he'll be on every show every week. That's a big ask. That's a really big ask. Manny says, I think Edge will not be. He said he's going back home yesterday, but never know. It's difficult to know with Edge, to be fair, but if he said he's going back home, that suggests he's not. We'll have to wait and see. Matt says face-to-face usually means segment. It also means match. They're leaving an option open. Shade and shame, sir. What do I have left to cover? So, one thing that I even just saw in that list that I've got scripted here, how is Sheamus going to react to find out that Drew McIntyre has a match and it's not with him? Sheamus's whole storyline right now is essentially saying, we do not want to be overlooked. I don't want to be the afterthought. I don't want to be the forgotten man here. Oh, and now you're facing someone else. Can't be certain, but I don't think Sheamus is going to be happy with that. As regards the Matt Riddle-Bobby Lashley feud for the US title, that is ongoing. How many times can Bobby Lashley beat the hell out of Matt Riddle? That's the question. The answer is seemingly infinite. Matt Riddle, seemingly every single week, taps out to the Hurt Lock. He taps out, he gets beaten up, he gets battered. Matt, maybe find someone else to feud with. Maybe find someone else. If he has just signed a new contract, he didn't get a great deal on a push. Because you see, whenever someone signs a new contract, there's some sort of push. You've seen that with Cesaro now. Matt Riddle's just got beat up more. It's like he went in there and said, okay, I want this much money and I want to lose this many matches. WWE would have been thrilled with that. Still talking about the Hurt Business, are there actually any tag teams in place to challenge the Hurt Business since Kofi Kingston picked up his injury? Because at the moment, they're seemingly so starved for feuds that they're fighting with each other instead. Last week, I believe it was the Lucha House Party that they took on, but that was a fairly decisive win. So who have they got left to actually fight with? The WWE have broken up so many tag teams recently. Street Profits are on the other side now. Viking Raiders, there's an injury there. Usos, even though they're on the other side, that's also an injury. So what tag teams are actually in place at the moment? Maybe this would be the right time to pair up Xavier Woods and Ricochet. Or maybe we'll just get Retribution versus the Hurt Business again, which made Retribution cool and the Hurt Business even cooler. They should do that again. Now, I have put the point here, Bad Bunny I don't believe is there at the moment, but did Bad Bunny film anything extra last week to use this week? He could have filmed a multitude of sections and they will just use them going forwards. Is he in fact still there while he can't tour, committed to being there until WrestleMania, ready to help Damian Priest yet again in another Miz and Morrison segment? Now, last week, Damian Priest took on The Miz. Stands to reason that this week, Damian Priest will take on John Morrison. That seems a logical approach and the logical way to do things going forwards. And finally, as regards the WWE Raw preview, where is Keith Lee? There has been no storyline. There has been no mention from Keith Lee as to where he is. He has not confirmed anything as regards a potential illness. And to be honest, if I had anything backstage, this isn't something I would actually talk about. But storyline-wise, where is he? And how does he feel about this current Orton, McIntyre, Sheamus, Edge situation? Really, this week, everything revolves around the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre. Which, to be honest, if you're a Raw fan, that's a pretty good situation to be in. Let's catch up. Ed says, as regards Edge, I think he might be backstage every week, but not sure they're going to use him on camera. Fair point. Also could be true of Bad Bunny. There are a number of options. And it could be a case that they are going to, or in fact they might have, filmed several promos to just use in the coming weeks. They've done that with Bray Wyatt in the past when he's been looking for some time off. They filmed the Firefly Funhouse segments to use for the next few weeks and just left it there. Manny Santos says, I'm sick of the Riddle Lashley shit. I'm allowed to swear. It's past 10 minutes on YouTube and I'm allowed to swear on Twitch anyway. So, yeah, it's been going on for a long time and so many WWE feuds have just been going on and on and on recently. That always seems to be the case until the Royal Rumble when things kick into gear. A lot of storylines did not kick into gear. Matt says New Day is feuding with Retribution, so I don't know. Yep, fair. It seems like Xavier Woods is about to run out of opponents. But really, what do you think, guys? Is there any tag teams you can think of on Raw that could feasibly challenge the Hurt Business? Eleanor says, I don't like Riddle for obvious reasons. So I don't mind him getting wrecked, but I thought Vince was really high on Riddle, so why is he always looking so weak? There are a number of reporters out there who almost exclusively deal in the following report. Vince McMahon is a huge fan of X-Superstar, and they will be getting a push very shortly. And they get picked up all over the place by aggregators, so they keep reporting it. Vince McMahon is a huge fan of Zelina Vega, Aleister Black, then things go wrong there. Vince McMahon is a big fan of Cesaro, then he gets a push. It's an interesting one in that it happens a lot. So we can't say for certain who Vince McMahon is a fan of. And we also can't say for certain if that's going to change. When it comes to Matt Riddle, from what I heard at the beginning, Vince wanted to essentially take Matt Riddle right past NXT. Right past it, completely skip it. But it didn't happen. And now, Matt Riddle, according to Dave Meltzer, and reports he was making, we were going to have at SummerSlam Matt Riddle versus AJ Styles, and that didn't happen. Pardon me. Matt Riddle since then seems to be just on a downward trajectory. But to be fair, working with Bobby Lashley is not the worst thing. Maybe we'll end up with Matt Riddle versus Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar for the United States Championship. Maybe. Matt Hendricks has suggested bring on Undisputed Era. They have nothing going on right now. To be fair, everyone deserves a little bit of time off, but I think it's long past time. But Undisputed Era may not want to come up. Or some of them may want to come up. Eleanor also says, what are your thoughts on how WWE are treating John Morrison? I love Miz and Morrison as a team, but I wish Morrison would get a world title push. I don't think John Morrison's ever going to get a world title push, unfortunately. Much like how I mentioned earlier about Matt Riddle and new contracts. When John Morrison signed his new contract, it is clear he did not ask for a world championship push. He asked to work with The Miz, and he's been working with The Miz ever since. There's been no evolution of his character. No evolution at all. So, honestly, I don't think we'll see him get a world title push. I don't think the WWE are treating him badly. I think the WWE are treating him exactly as he wants to be treated. I think he's very happy, and to be fair, all power to him. Manny says, we also have Lana and Naomi. Yeah, they need to do something to gel that tag team. They are getting a tag team championship match, so make it work, connect them. I suspect we're going to see Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler sort of run through them in the beginning of the usual Naomi push until WrestleMania and then gone again. But I suspect we are going to see Baszler and Jax defending the tag titles on NXT right after defeating Lana, and Naomi. Completely lost track of what I was saying there. I apologize. Let me know if I mispronounce your name here. But Bertries Talks Wrestling, welcome. Glad you are glad to see a new face here. Says, do you think the Fiend returns at the Chamber? Hi, by the way. I do think the Chamber is the perfect time for the Fiend to return. I think potentially we would see the Fiend return at the Elimination Chamber, but not get back into the ring until WrestleMania. I think that would be the way I would personally do it. I think that we will see the Fiend and Randy Orton carry on all the way until WrestleMania, and I think that's the best way to do it, considering it is only 2 weeks. It's not long at all. The structure of the Elimination Chamber really does seem to work in the favor of a character like the Fiend. If you are brand new here, please do remember, click like on the YouTube video and subscribe. I really do appreciate that. We do these shows quite a lot, but maybe moving them to Twitch full-time very shortly, but there is still reviews. I will be uploading these previews from Twitch to YouTube before the actual show goes live, and so on and so forth. So please do remember to follow. Matt Hendricks says, Paul Heyman is a fan of Aleister Black, not Vince. That is true of a lot of reports, but there's never been any official confirmation of it. I did put out a report quite a while ago now. I think it was in April, May time, saying that there was some confusion as to how Aleister Black was going to be used because there were concerns over his character and really getting it across. Someone else at that time sent me a DM essentially saying, I'm about to report something that contradicts you, and reported the exact same thing. The exact same thing. I couldn't see any difference in it. So there are disagreements as to it. When it comes to Aleister Black, I think if Aleister Black wants to come back, the WWE will bring him back. I think the issue is not so much that the WWE have nothing for him, is that he has nothing for the WWE right now. But that is speculation on my part. Matt also says AJ Styles' the IC title wasn't even on SummerSlam. I believe that is true, yes. Dave Meltzer, as I say, reported that the match would be happening a couple of weeks ahead, and it just didn't happen. Ed says, could you put Garza and Carrillo together? Hardy Bros or Miz and Morrison tag team title match to lead the titles on the line at Mania against Priest and Bunny. That's not a bad shout. That's a really good idea. I think Priest and Bad Bunny are going to win, and I don't think we'll see Bad Bunny after that. So personally, I don't think that's where they're going to go. But the idea of Garza and Carrillo is an interesting one. They could do something with that. Hardy Bros is probably one of the only face tag teams they've got. But for me, that doesn't feel right for me. It doesn't feel right for me. I mean, the Hardy Boys were brothers, and now we've got the Hardy Bros. It seems like they're trying to take over the search engines. You know how when you type into Google and it gives you predicted ones? If you type in Hardy, you'll get Jeff Hardy, you'll get Matt Hardy, you'll get Hardy Boys. If you get Hardy Bros, you get back to WWE again. Matt says, remember when Aleister Black was undefeated on the main roster and never got a title match for it? Yes, I do. He was putting on great matches, and he's lost, to my knowledge, what, twice? Twice, I think. It's just... They looked like they were using him really, really well. And then they just sort of didn't. They just sort of didn't. Manny disagrees with me. He says Lana and Naomi will win the tag titles. We'll have to wait and see on that one. It's a big challenge for them, certainly. As regards the Fiend, Matt says it depends if Orton is on the Chamber pay-per-view. I suspect he will be, at least briefly. If there is going to be an Elimination Chamber match, Randy Orton should be in it. Ed points out something very interesting. Interesting note, Jason Jordan is on the active Raw roster. Means we could see Jason Jordan return, but in what capacity? That, I think, is going to be interesting because there's so many possibilities. And really, at the moment, they need fresh blood, as it were. But where do you fit new people in when you've got so many people you already need to push? Matt says, I thought Priest was going to face Lashley at Mania since Lashley eliminated Priest from the Rumble. I think we put a bit too much into feuds happening because of eliminations. Bobby Lashley, to my knowledge, didn't just eliminate Damian Priest, he eliminated a few more people, and he's not immediately going into a feud of any of them. Priest versus Lashley could very much still happen. It might be that the tag match between Bad Bunny and Priest versus Miz and Morrison doesn't happen at Mania and happens maybe at Fastlane. There are innumerable possibilities, but it depends. If Lashley's going to keep the title, don't feed him Priest yet. Just don't do it. And Matt also believes the winner of the Women's Dusty Cup will win the tag titles. That one I do personally agree with. I think that's just a great way to make NXT look very, very good. Give them the tag team titles for maybe 2, maybe 3 months, and then have them lose it just into WrestleMania, or in fact have them on the WrestleMania card. Lots of possibilities. Matt says, what if it's not Bryan versus Rollins at Mania, but Bryan versus Nakamura? I've been waiting for Daniel Bryan and Shinsuke Nakamura to just go at it for a long, long time. And as I say, Bryan does seem to be showing a lot more heel about him, just a lot more heel. So I think it makes sense. I think there are ways to do that. Or it could be Bryan and Rollins versus Cesaro and Nakamura. That's a push. Eleanor says, if Jason Jordan does return, how would you book him? Would you give him a world title push? Personally, no. I think there are too many people in that upper echelon at the moment. And I certainly wouldn't give him the championship. I think he needs to bed back in. I would probably pair him back with Chad Gable and give them the tag team championships pretty much immediately. Just pretty much immediately. I would consider even turning them heel, just having Gable betray Otis in the lead up to it. And then you have American Alpha Reborn. You can have them feud with the Street Profits. That would be a hell of a match. You could have them feud with the Hurt Business. That would be a hell of a match. That's how I would personally do it. I would pair them back up and let them just go and have great matches. I know it didn't really get them over at the time when they first came up to the main roster, but I think they've both been through so much hell in the intervening period. We've seen how bad it could be. So let's just have them as a tag team, and I swear we'll cheer them this time. Michael Latina says, do you think Damian Priest will eventually contend for the WWE Championship? It's hard to say. I think Priest is coming up on a wave of momentum. As with anyone, if we as fans get behind him, he'll get pushed to the championship. If we don't, He'll get pushed nowhere. Matt says, in WWE have considered Finn Balor defending the NXT title at Mania, and I think it might happen. Imagine Karrion Kross's entrance at WrestleMania. It's possible, certainly. Across 2 nights, they have the opportunity to do that, but I do think they might have too many matches to make that really work. We'll have to wait and see. It's too early now to really make decisions on that, but I'm confident Finn Balor will be defeating Pete Dunne. That said, I would like to see Pete Dunne involved in a WrestleMania match for an NXT title, even if he loses. Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, Karrion Kross, because Pete Dunne and Karrion Kross, that's fantastic. And then every combination thereof. I think Pete Dunne is very deserving of it. Eleanor says, I know that Rollins and Bryan had an encounter a few months ago, but I don't understand why everyone wants to see them feud. What would their story be? I'm not sure what the story would be per se, but I think with this particular one, the match quality is why people really want it. As we know, Daniel Bryan, incredible wrestler. I just saw a comment saying roster and I got confused there and I said roster with a W at the beginning. Incredible wrestler. Seth Rollins, incredible wrestler. He's just been having constant, brilliant matches. I remember back to the AJ Styles one quite recently. That was great. So I think it's just the match quality that people are excited for, and personally, also quite excited for it. Matt says, Dabba-Kato is also on the active Raw roster, so Jason Jordan being there doesn't mean anything really yet. The fact that he's been moved there when he wasn't previously on that active Raw roster means something. It just doesn't mean anything right now. We will see going forward what happens there. Those are all the comments I have right now. So I've got one final talking point, then I'll go through comments one more time. If you're watching on YouTube, please do remember to click like on the video, subscribe if you haven't. And if you're watching on Twitch, please do remember to follow there as well. It's free and you get a whole lot of content in addition to the content you get here. It is very possible that I will not be doing the Friday show here on YouTube. That might be just on Twitch. So please do remember to jump over. Jermaine Presley's here. Hi, Jermaine. Welcome. Glad to see you. You drop in and join us here as well. So I have one final talking point before I go through the last comments I've got and wrap up here. If/when Becky Lynch returns, which brand would you rather see her on? Will she be on the red brand of Raw as she was when she left, or will she be on the blue brand where Seth Rollins now is, because they don't like to break up partnerships, especially now they are both parents? Answers on a postcard, and by that I mean answer in the comments, as to where you would prefer to see Becky Lynch. Now, someone did mention earlier the idea of a match against Bayley. Pardon me. That would mean a SmackDown move, and to be honest, that would be a great match. But I think Raw then would be really lacking, because they don't have that strong a women's division at the moment. They have a lot of tag teams, not many individuals. If they were still pushing Mandy Rose, it would be stronger. But when you look at SmackDown, they've got Sasha Banks, they've got Bayley, they've got Bianca Belair, they've got Sonya Deville, they've got so much talent all the way through. Billie Kay is doing great things right now. Liv Morgan has been receiving a push recently, even if it is just being on TV every week. There is so much happening. And I think it'd be very top heavy if she goes to SmackDown. That said, add Rhea Ripley to Raw, we're laughing. As regards the Rollins and Bryan conversation, Matt weighs in with his opinion. Rollins and Bryan have never feuded with each other. They've been in matches together, but never actually feuded. We'll see how it goes. Matt says he would like to see Becky on SmackDown. Eleanor says, I think it depends on where Rollins is when she returns. Fair point. We don't know when, or in fact, if Becky Lynch will return, so there might be a shake-up in the time. I would argue SmackDown, but I think Raw needs her, but SmackDown is her home. And Matt says, Becky Lynch has done everything on Raw. I know she's owed a title rematch, but like Becky did everything on Raw. Becky did everything on SmackDown, year on year on year, to be fair. Manny says, I can't believe they aren't pushing Mandy. She needs her long hair back. I think that's the case of once she left SmackDown, the people on Raw didn't really know what to do with her. That is unfortunate, but that's the case. Since she moved from SmackDown, the push ended. Same with Otis when she moved from SmackDown. It just ended. Michael Latina says, I would love to see Becky on SmackDown. I want to see her against Bayley, and I want to see her against Sasha again, because it didn't last long in 2019. Fair. It was only 2, maybe 3 months. Raw really needs her, though. Yes, that's my concern, really, looking at the situation there. Matt says SmackDown was where the man was born. Very true. And Jermaine says, I think Bianca Belair needs to challenge whoever is a Raw Women's Champion at WrestleMania. I say that because I feel that Naomi... I missed it. I say that because I feel that Naomi and is there another name that you were trying to go for there? Are going to be moved to SmackDown pretty soon so they can really do the tribal chief family, have it complete. I'm guessing. I'm not sure. Is that Nia Jax you're referring to? As a relation to the tribal chief family. But yeah, I don't think Naomi's going to be on Raw very long. But to be fair, I don't think Naomi's going to be on TV very long, and that's a real shame. They just don't seem to want to push her. Matt, I see what you said here. WWE's clearly doing Belair versus Sasha. I think that is what they're doing. But Jermaine is very much entitled to his opinion as well. We don't know for certain what's going to happen. We don't know for certain. Manny says, can't wait for the Battle Royal at Mania. Those poor women. I hope it's on the main card, though. We'll see if that actually happens. They didn't do it last year because of the amount of bodies required. It is a lot safer now, so I feel they could do it. Jermaine meant Nia Jax. Fair enough. That's kind of what I thought. Ed says, I'm not a huge Becky fan, so I'm perfectly happy with her staying home and being a mom. Fair enough. Just to be clear here, I am a big fan of Becky Lynch, have been for a long time. I think she delivers something. And also, we talked earlier about finding someone like you, and I have Irish blood. So there's an immediate connection there. Also, I just like that she's fun. She's just fun. But it's entirely up to Becky Lynch what she does. If she decides to quit wrestling, she has my support 100%. 100%. Because if that's what she wants to do, that's what she gets to do. As we mentioned earlier with like the stalker harasser thing, wrestlers don't owe me anything. They owe me nothing. You do what you want to do. Thank you for the happy memories, really, if that's the situation. We will see what happens there. Matt says, I have this feeling Asuka won't be on Mania. We'll have to wait and see. I don't think they're going to leave the Raw Women's Champion off WrestleMania. I just don't see it happening. Michael says, if Sasha and Bianca have a WrestleMania match, who do you think would be a good opponent for each between then and now? It looks like Carmella's going to be Bianca's opponent, just in the build-up. I don't think Sasha will have another opponent. I think they'll take their time with it. And I think that's the right move. I think we're going to get something quite similar to Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, building up to WrestleMania 12, where they were both faces until the event. And then I think Sasha might go a bit more heelish, but we'll wait and see on that. And Matt says, I love Becky Lynch. I popped when she won the SmackDown Women's title at Backlash 2012. Everyone did, man. She's almost universally loved. I think it's really clever and really brave of SmackDown as it was then to say, we're going to bring over Becky Lynch and she is going to be our star. They pushed her hard. They got rid of everyone else. Bayley wasn't there. Sasha Banks wasn't there. Charlotte Flair wasn't there. Paige wasn't there. Becky Lynch was the head of that division. It was sink or swim. And that women's division was incredible. Incredible. Manny says, I think they definitely do the Battle Royal. They did a 30 women rumble with older women, so I have no doubts they will do it fair. That's a fair point, and probably fitting, accurate. That says, what I mean by not having Asuka at Mania, she won't be the champion and won't have her on the main card like in 2019. Again, personally, I disagree. Eleanor said, how did you feel about Owens giving Reigns a stunner on SmackDown? I personally don't want to see them have another match. This, for me, felt much like Edge versus Orton the Monday previously. For me, this felt like, okay, Owens gets a moment of revenge, and then the fact that he walked away suggests to me that that is over. I do think that is over. I know saying that like we felt that as regards McIntyre Orton, but then they just added another match. So it's hard to 100% keep track. It really is. But for me, I don't think we're going to see more Owens versus Reigns. I think very shortly Edge is going to make his decision. I think it will be Roman Reigns, and we'll go from there. Manny says, I'm not a huge fan of Becky, but she's worked her ass off, so I respect her for that. Fair enough. And Matt says, SmackDown late 2016 was fantastic. I wonder what happened. SmackDown has been a very good show. There's been down periods, don't get me wrong. But shortly after that, we had the Becky-Charlotte feud. We had Randy Orton and Jeff Hardy as a feud. That was great. And so on until even now. And Roman Reigns at the pinnacle of his career, basically. We've got Seth Rollins coming back now, and he's never really done anything on SmackDown since he came across. He's never really been on SmackDown. So I want to see more, and I think SmackDown is probably the best wrestling show weekly right now, but Dynamite really quite close behind it for me. Jermaine says, thanks for everything, Tom. I only say Sasha shouldn't face Bianca because right now Raw Women's Division really need a megastar like Bianca over there. SmackDown has Sasha Banks. I do see where you're coming from. The Raw Women's Division for me is quite weak. It's just quite weak. And not because of a lack of talent there, but because of the fact that so many of them are in tag teams. It's nice to see Lacey Evans getting a push. When she turns face, or at least when she turns face again, she'll be a big deal because of her background, but they need to have stories. She needs personality established beforehand. I think she plays it really well. So we'll have to wait and see on that. But there are ways they can use people better for me. Michael says, just want to say that I always look forward to your Raw and SmackDown previews each week. Thank you very much, Michael. I do hope you come over to Twitch because the previews might be going away on YouTube. So please do be aware of that. I believe you followed already. I'm not going to read through all 50 people, but I believe you followed already. But thank you. It's just really nice to hear that. I really appreciate it. Sometimes it's hard to have that moment where you're like, okay, I'm going to start streaming, and I just get a little bit nervous. What if no one's there? You know? So I'm very glad to have people like Ed, like yourself, who are reliably there. I'm really grateful to everyone who drops in, even if it's just for a minute. Jermaine says, I think SmackDown can have Sasha feud with Natalya for 2 pay-per-views. We'll have to wait and see. I hope they do something, but I don't think they need to do anything. Matt says, Owens' stunning reigns on SmackDown reminded me of Stone Cold arriving, interrupting Matt, stunning people, then leaving. Owens' move towards full Stone Cold has been quite natural, quite enjoyable, and he's there now. And that's fun. Matt also says, Raw really needs Rhea Ripley. SmackDown doesn't need Rhea. Completely agree there. That's one of the reasons I really want to see Rhea on Raw rather than SmackDown. And Jermaine says, also, Sasha is 0-5 at WrestleMania. She really needs a victory for this coming WrestleMania to break that streak. Plus, WWE can have Sasha drop the title at SummerSlam or at Money in the Bank. I think Bianca's winning, Meg. I think Bianca's winning. And I'm okay with it. I know a lot of people want more for Sasha, but I think with the way Sasha has been used, I think it's time to ask the question, does Sasha want more for Sasha? Or is Sasha Banks happy to have brief championship reigns and put over other people? There are a lot of wrestlers who are at their happiest when they are putting over other wrestlers. That is something we should consider when we're there saying this person needs a push. Do they want a push? Or are they very happy in the position that they're in? I think Sasha Banks would be very happy to lose the title to Bianca Belair at WrestleMania. Ed says, and I know this is going to be lovely, there are many people who want to hear your opinion. Thank you. Thank you. For a reminder for anyone just dropping in, I will be doing a Raw watch party on Twitch, just on Twitch tonight. It will start 10 minutes before Raw. Please do remember to jump over to twitch.tv/Tom Colohue if you'd like to join me there. Once you do click follow, you will get a notification. And if you have not followed, I will put something on Twitter. So my Twitter is, of course, @Colohue, COLOHUE, and there'll be something there. It also says, what is one storyline you would like to book right now? There's a number I'd like to see. I'd like to see Cesaro versus Reigns, but I worry that without backup, there's just nothing he can do to actually make that work. Nakamura could be backup, but we'll have to wait and see. When it comes to Raw, it's a more difficult one, but The Fiend being there opens so many doors. So if I was going to book a match and a feud and a storyline, it would be the return of Aleister Black to attack The Fiend. I would just have The Fiend finish off Randy Orton. I would have him putting on a Firefly Funhouse, and then I would have Aleister Black there, looking for a fight. I don't think it would be difficult to do. I think it would elevate Aleister Black to no end, and I think those two really gel together. That is what I would probably do. Manny Santos says Bianca should win, but we'll see. We will see. Yep. There are many different things that can happen in the build-up to WrestleMania, many changes that can happen, and of course, it might not even be the plan from the off. Matt says, Sasha put over Io Shirai, Rhea Ripley, and Candice LeRae at Survivor Series 2019. Yep, sounds like Sasha. She always puts people over. She's a real team player. Eleanor says, given her appearance in The Mandalorian, I can see Sasha going to Hollywood within the next few years. I could see that, and I think this is one of the reasons that the WWE started pushing her when she did. Ultimately, you have to look at things like this. The man character, the Becky Lynch push, started so that they could align Becky Lynch with her character in the Marine 6. She was a villain in the Marine 6. They made her a heel to try and be that character. That was the plan. It failed. It failed massively and spectacularly. But that was the plan. And I think if Sasha Banks is making more Hollywood appearances, they will try and make her somewhat similar in case someone tunes in based on a Hollywood appearance. They want to see a similar character. Dream Poor Boy Gamer 2X says, what? I hope this is in reference to Steve Austin. I hope it is. If you're confused by anything, please let me know what. But thank you for joining us. If you have just joined on YouTube, please remember to subscribe and click like on the video. Big help for me. Would be grateful. Jermaine says, if I was in WWE, I will turn Rhea Ripley heel and send her to SmackDown, have her win the Money in the Bank, and have her take the title from Sasha. I just think Rhea Ripley works a bit better on Raw because there is a lot more physical, dominant women on Raw, whereas on SmackDown, there are more technical, even though obviously you have Bianca Belair, who's real strong. Matt says, wait, if Nakamura is allowed to have the Rising Sun theme back, can Aleister Black have his old theme back? I don't believe they got rid of Aleister Black's theme. We'd have to wait and see. When someone turns heel, they try and get rid of popular music. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. It worked with Nakamura because everyone kept singing his theme and he just wasn't a heel. And then they did it back. But to be fair, think back to what got Daniel Bryan over. What got Daniel Bryan over was that he would say yes and we would say no. It wasn't a case of, oh, he said yes and we said yes. That's not what got him over. What got him over was that he said yes and we said no. And it's really fun being annoying. It's really fun making someone angry. A large part of what got The Rock over, if you look back at some of The Rock's earlier things, when he first became the corporate champion, he did a catchphrase. The crowd chanted along and he said, no, don't do that. Try it again. Crowd chanted and he stopped midway. This is not sing along with the great one. It gets you over because people really just want to do that chant and join in that way. That sort of thing can work. So I think they should have kept Nakamura's face tune, even though he was a heel, because I think then we would have had another Becky Lynch situation. As Matt says, yeah, the fans were like, Becky ain't no heel, they weren't having it. Correct. The initial plan, of course, was to have Becky Lynch versus Asuka at that year's WrestleMania, with Becky as a heel. So that definitely didn't happen. Asuka wasn't even at that WrestleMania because they just couldn't find someone else for her. I did report at the time that the idea was Asuka versus Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville. No one picked it up. And then like a year later, Dave Meltzer said, yeah, the original idea was Asuka versus Mandy Rose versus Sonya Deville. Good times. Michael Latino says, I really wanted Bianca to win the title at SummerSlam because I'm afraid of fans thinking that Bianca is being shoved down their throats. It's a fair comment, but WWE are trying to keep an eye on social media and things to see what happens there. And for me, she is still obviously a very big deal when it comes to Bianca Belair. No one seems to have dropped her just yet. No one seems to be turning on her. Same is true of Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, for me, is more in danger of receiving that negative treatment by fans because he's being pushed so hard. But so far, so good. Matt says you have 2 stories ready for Rhea on Raw, Charlotte and Alexa. Yeah, there's 2 stories already there. We'll see what happens. Personally, I think Rhea Ripley should go to Raw, but at the same time, we'll have to wait and see what happens. Also says, I mean, Asuka didn't need to lose the title at Mania 35. A rematch with Charlotte was right there. What? Why would she have lost the title? I don't understand the point you're making there. Would you be able to clarify it a little bit for me, please? Eleanor says, do you think Jimmy Uso is going to return soon? Yes, I do. The initial prognosis was that he would return in January time. That obviously has passed, so there may have been a setback of some sort. But I think at this point, he's probably cleared and they're waiting for a storyline for him. They're just waiting for a storyline that works with the Usos, which is the right way to do it. A little bit of creative hiatus goes a long way. I am out of comments. Matt, if you can clarify your point there a little bit, I will wait for a comment for you. But by and large, just to let everyone know, I've been streaming for 70 minutes. This is one of our longer previews. Thank you to everyone who's dropped in, left a like, followed on Twitch. I now have the 50 I required, but every additional one helps. Please do remember that later on there will be a Raw live show watch party starting 10 minutes beforehand. I would love to see some of you there. Let's see. Last couple of comments. Mal says Charlotte didn't need to win the SmackDown title from Asuka before Mania 35. Agreed. The only reason she did that is because they didn't feel they could get Asuka on the card anymore. They didn't feel there was a strong enough storyline. And Eleanor says, how do you feel about Shayna and Nia as a tag team? I personally really like them, but I would love to see Shayna be Raw Women's Champ. I really like what they've managed to do. It looked confusing as hell, and I wasn't a fan to start with, but then they destroyed Bayley and Sasha Banks. They found a way to make it work. And that, for me, is all you need to do. So their dynamic really suits me. They just like causing pain. Works for me. And Michael Latina says, well, SmackDown winning this SmackDown title was really just out of Becky 2 belts. Yeah, that was the reason for that. They couldn't get Asuka on. They wanted to shake things up a bit, and so we ended up with what we ended up with. I wasn't particularly happy about it at the time, but I get what happened there. It was all to set up Becky Lynch in the main event at WrestleMania. That is all the comments I've got. I'm going to call it there. Again, thank you to everyone for watching. Even if you just watched for like 2 minutes, I am so grateful. These shows will continue on YouTube and Twitch until I reach a point at which I'm monetized on Twitch. I am going to start that process very soon. So if you haven't already, please do remember to jump over to Twitch. Thank you everyone who has joined, everyone who's clicked like, subscribed, followed, everyone who's asked a question. I really appreciate the amount of questions I get coming in. You guys are great for that. I really am grateful. This show would not be possible without you guys. So a huge thank you. Please do tune in for the watch party tonight. And then tomorrow, if you're after gaming content, I will be doing Football Manager at the usual time, 6 o'clock, my time, which is the same time these shows start. Thank you to everyone. I hope you enjoy Raw if you are not there watching with me, and have a very good day.